Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going over our top 20 to 11 favorite new to us games of 2023. And alongside this, we will be having a top 10 of the year coming out as well, with Michaela in there. And we'll be doing a giveaway. And that'll be for a game that's been on the list, on some lists, I think, for the year. And that is Sunrise Lane. So you can go check out our giveaway video linked below on how you can enter.
So, which one is going to be released first? That's what I'm wondering, because we filmed the top 10. And now we're filming this. And we reference games and where they could be not in the top 10. So
That is true.
So should this go second? Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. We will see.
I could say comment below, but then the video's already out.
It's already out.
We'll see. I just wonder how I should approach this, and if I should mention that something was maybe on someone else's list.
Oh, I think this one will come out second.
Okay.
That's how I imagine it.
Well, it's going to be a tough edit.
Oh boy.
Get my list here.
Oh boy. Well, we can start then with my number 20, essentially. And I would say, as opposed to maybe my top 10, this one's a little more loosey-goosey.
Yep.
Put together a little bit more quickly, so these could swing pretty heavily. I think a lot of these I've played only once or twice, so, with the play, might be some recency bias. So note that going into it, like, any given day, my 20 and 11 could even swap, probably.
This is a good section for games where you feel like they just need more plays, and they could be in your top 10. You don't feel quite right putting them up there yet, just based on play count, but that 11 through 20, sweet spot.
Exactly. And I'll be starting off with a sweet game, and that is Ankh.
Oh, sweet.
Sweet game.
Sweet victory.
And this was one we've only played once, and it's been a little bit. I think that's kind of why it's on this one as opposed to maybe the top 10. It maybe could have been with more plays. It's just a really fun. We played it together, 2-player game. Yeah. I know this one gets some flack for having a merge rule for higher player counts, so I don't know that this will be one that we'd like to do that, but it's got an area control element to it, and it really seemed to sing in the game that we played, especially just at 2 kind of fighting back and forth, kind of feeling tug-of-war-y. You're playing cards in the game, and you each kind of have the same set of cards, and it just sets up for a lot of fun decisions. Very kind of the games where you are trying to think and outthink your opponent. Think, what are they going to do in this situation so that I should do this in response to that. Not necessarily always just, this immediately should be the best card for me to play, because then your opponent might be thinking that, and they'll counter it. Love those kind of games.
Yeah, absolutely agree and love this one too. You could probably see it in a different video. My number 20 is a game on BGA, which there were a few games mentioned on that we played, specifically on BGA on the top 10 list, and this is one for this list, starting it off, and that is a cooperative 2+ game, and that is Paint the Roses.
Oh wow!
And this is now it's been a long time. We beat the game, and
after trying many times,
there was like
probably one of our most played new to us games.
There was
this
like
year.
A month or two where we were just like playing that game again and again and again. Anytime we would kind of both be online. I was in Florida and you were here, and we'd be like, maybe play a new game and then be like, to end the night, maybe a few games of Paint the Roses. And this one is kind of a deduction game, as you're trying to remember, you're kind of playing tiles down, so you each have a kind of a card that is a condition, like a pairing of either 2 symbols or 2 colors or a symbol and a color, and you're trying to hint to your opponents by placing tiles and creating pairs.
Those types of patterns.
And then each player will then put tokens onto that tile to represent how many of their cards matches that tile placement creates, which is a decent way to describe the game. Pat on the shoulder. Probably very hard to understand. But that is just such a cool way to do it. And the game, I don't think I'd want to play this in person.
No.
Because on there, it handles it for you, and when the game is purely deduction, trying to get exact numbers and figure it out logically, if you miss something in person and don't place a cube, then you just messed up the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So having the
Yep.
computer do it is very much needed, and
And it keeps order of when tiles are
Yes.
placed. Otherwise, you'd have to
Yes.
remember that, and that would just be too much.
yeah, I just really like this, and it's kind of got the baddie chasing you along the score track. You're just trying to go through all the tiles, pretty much. I thought it was a really cool one, really unique, and we haven't gotten back to it since we beat it, but so we can kind of treat it kind of like a campaign game. We beat it, and it was a great experience. Maybe not play it again, who knows.
We'll see. That's a good pick. Good pick. Did not make either of my lists, but I did have a lot of fun with that as we were trying to beat it. Maybe we were just terrible at the game. But yeah, my number 19 is a game that I've actually played. We actually have gone to the table multiple times, and I didn't know if that would be the case. But this one is Twilight Inscription.
Ooh, yeah.
So this is a heavier flip and roll and write game, and it's a lot of fun. It's in the Twilight Imperium world. We're trying to condense that down. I think it is pretty condensed. I have not played any of the Twilight Imperium games, but I have a feeling that it is not quite the same feeling that you get from this
Yeah.
game. But this game is a lot of fun. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Hadrian's Wall. It's kind of more on the medium-heavy side of these types of games, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. The markers are orange because it's kind of 4 different sheets of different things you're doing, and you're scribbling on them. They're in space, so they're kind of dark, so instead of kind of just having the normal black marker, it's orange one, so it looks pretty cool as well. But I've had a lot of fun playing this one. We actually played it at 6 players, which is kind of crazy to think about because I'm imagining playing actual Twilight Imperium with those same 6 people, and I know one that would like it, but
Yes.
the rest, including you, would probably not like it. I would probably be. We'd have to see how the game actually played.
And then everyone likes it but that one person.
This game sucks.
Well, too bad you're stuck playing it forever. My number 19 didn't make the list. I absolutely love this system of games, and this is another one in the line. But since I had so much history with it, playing its original version and its legacy version, this is Clank Catacombs. Finally got around to playing this one this year. Got one play of it in. I died, but I still had a great time because it does have that wonderful core deck building that Clank presents and kind of ties into this dungeon crawling of moving through the dungeon, getting treasure, fighting with your swords, all the different baddies. And this one kind of introduces additional concepts in some of the board spaces that I feel are either from expansions or from the legacy version. I think they incorporated a couple of those. But yeah, then kind of the shifting, revealing of the board, not just being a board that you fold out and it's the same every game. This one has tiles that you are revealing when you move off of a tile into a new unexplored space. It is a new tile and you get to place it whichever way you want. And I think that's a really cool thematic way to explore a dungeon because you do not know what is there. I thought that was a really cool way to do it. You can kind of shift them a little bit. I was hoping maybe for a little more movement of the tiles after they were placed, but again, you don't want it to be too chaotic.
Yeah.
But yeah, great core system, and it's still there. Clank is awesome.
Good pick. My number 18 is another BGA game that we've only played on BGA. This one is one that was quite hot for quite a while, and
Is that a pun?
It is a pun. And yeah,
Chris
this
Yee
is
over here.
Days of Wonder game, probably their hottest game, and I don't know if they'd had too many big hits in a little bit, but this one was, and that is Heat. I think it's been pretty difficult to get as well in physical version, and I was surprised when I saw that it was already on Board Game Arena, and I would say I was not like all that into necessarily like, oh, I'm not that excited about it, even though a lot of people are saying all these great things about it. I was like, it doesn't really excite me too much. But then I played it. I probably can't describe it very well. Maybe you can help. But
Vroom vroom.
I I thought once, I think the first time I wasn't quite sure how some of the things were
Okay.
working. The second game we played, it was a little bit more, and now it's been a little bit again. But yeah, you're playing different cards from your hand. You kind of got a deck, and you're trying to maintain the heat of your car and go around corners and stuff. It was a lot funner than I had thought it was going to be. I had a really enjoyable time. I'm for sure going to be playing this some more on Board
Yeah.
Game Arena, because yeah, it was. I think you can have multiple like AI opponents and
Oh
stuff,
yeah, that is.
which is
I think
good, a good
that is what
implementation
made
there.
it, because I think this one probably is better at higher player
Yeah,
counts,
I would
having
agree.
those AI players and just having it do it for you.
Yep.
Since we don't really like have a big group of Board Game Arena kind of friends to play with.
Yeah.
That was great that it had those, and just kind of just all the times when you can just play a bunch of cards with high values and just zoom all the way across the map, and sometimes you go around a corner a little too fast and wipe out.
Right.
It is a pretty fun one. I was surprised because as well as you was like, this is probably way too hyped. Is it really that good? But pretty good.
Mhm.
My next one, let's see. I don't know why I have my clipboard. I have my list on my phone here. My next one is also a Board Game Arena game, and
Wow.
this was one that
The year of Board Game Arena.
it
for us.
is. It really is. They got a lot of games.
They've-
Just,
and they
like
have-
very quickly to
they
their
have.
actual release.
Yeah, they have gotten a lot of brand new games, and there's a lot of them still that I want to play. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to be surprised if next year, when we're looking at these lists, if there's a lot of Board Game Arena ones again.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they've added a lot of really solid,
Yeah.
hot games.
Yeah, just great implementations too.
Yes.
Yep. And this one is a spoiler for his top 10, which no going back now. I'm gonna spoil kind of. It's a crossover, and this one was pretty high before, and I thought it was gonna make my top 10 earlier in the year, but there's so many great games, and this is Earth, and this one is kind of compared to, I don't know how much it's compared to Terraforming Mars, but I kind of get the similar feel of satisfaction and accomplishment from this one that I do with Terraforming Mars, and this one is kind of like a race for the galaxy type of thing, where one player selects an action and everyone gets that action, but the player who selects it gets a little bonus there, and throughout the game you're playing a bunch of different cards, and they will gain you additional bonuses possibly that trigger every time you take these certain actions. And I think that's just really satisfying to just really build an engine. And there is kind of an order that you activate them, which usually doesn't come into play, but sometimes you do want ones to trigger before other ones to maybe get resources to pay.
Pay costs, yep.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed my plays of it. Pretty high scoring game as well, and just pretty approachable, pretty easy to understand, because this is one that, when you compare it to games like Terraforming Mars, I get a little intimidated because I'm like, okay, that's a big, heavy game, and this one is actually pretty approachable, pretty straightforward once you understand the concepts in the game.
Good pick. My number 17, spoiler right back at you, was
Oh,
on
boy.
his list, and that is a campaign we went through, a legacy campaign, and that is My Island. And this was one kind of the same boat as you with Earth. I thought this, for a while, was going to be in my top 10 of the year, and as the game went on,
I just had other great games show up. Maybe the honeymoon period.
the
was
honeymoon
over.
period of it kind of was over. And there was some questionable things, in my opinion, in the back half of the Legacy campaign that I may not have liked as much as the other things, but it was still a really fun experience. I was glad it was a good game that we got to the table quite often, regularly got back to, so I always enjoy. I think that's the good thing about some of the campaign games, or Legacy games or whatever, that you get to have that time and just know that, okay, well, we're gonna
You're locked
try to
in.
get back to it. Try to get back to it, and just forces you in a way to play, get a game together. So I overall I still enjoyed it, but I liked the first half quite a bit more. It would have probably, if it had stayed around that type of thing, it would have been in my top 10.
Yeah. Okay, my next one. This is a game that we just recently played for a second time, and this is a game that we released a whole series, like what, a year and a half ago. I get so confused with our years and what we released when, but we released Dinomania, a bunch of dinosaur-themed games, content, and we even rambled about the Jurassic movies for like 2 hours. Had to split that into two videos, but this is Gods Love Dinosaurs, one of probably the biggest name of dinosaur-themed games that we did not own at that time, but finally got around to it and played this one, and it's just a really cool trying to keep your food chain going of your prey to then multiply and feed your predators to then the more prey they eat, they multiply, and then they get eaten by your dinosaurs, which get score points for eating those predators. And I just thought that was a really smooth, really, I don't know, really interesting way of kind of an engine builder type of game, but not really, because it can just completely fall apart if you just eat everything and you got nothing left on your map. But I don't know, it's just a really smooth, really quick, easy to follow. It's not overly complicated like some of the other dinosaur-themed games are all managing your park type of thing. A lot of in-depth things there. This is very simple. Get animals, produce animals, eat animals, score points. Really cool game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. My next one is a roll and write game, and for a while I was thinking this one might edge onto the list. I wasn't sure. We've actually played it quite a bit, more than I actually thought we might, and that is Long Shot the Dice game. Probably actually played it over a handful of times, so it's got this one. I guess isn't like the others. Kind of like My Island. I guess My Island we got a lot of games in,
Yeah.
so it's not like I definitely decided that one was not in my top 10. Whereas like some of these we've only played once. Long Shot we actually played quite a few times as well. It just didn't quite make the cut. I guess most of the time if I got my choice, I'm picking Euro games. And this one's kind of closer to party style, but there's some good, interesting choices in this one. It's kind of in the middle of kind of, you've got your lighter roll and write, slip and writes, and then you've got some like Hadrian's Wall and Twilight Inscription. This one's kind of somewhere in the middle, and it's just about perfect. It's a fun race game. When you have a lot of people, the horses are moving forward and backwards, and it just ends up being a lot closer than you think. At first, you might have some horse that's just
Like,
way
that's
ahead,
way out.
and then if people have bid on it, they'll try to keep it going forward. But then for people that haven't, they'll be like, "Well, no, 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 no," and then they'll use their kind of bonuses to push the horse back. And it's just crazy how by the end it just seems like they all get really close. And it's been a blast the last few times we played it. It's probably some of my favorite experiences this year.
Oh yeah, wow.
So.
Yeah, and that one play I had of it, I mean, there were like a few horses kind of in that last little stretch there, and it's like, well, this is going to end pretty soon. But then it just, like, all of those went back out of that final stretch. New ones went in, those new ones went out, those other ones came back in. Just, it was not near over. It's just chaotic in the best way.
Yeah, it's like Camel Up the dice game.
Yeah.
With maybe a little bit more going on.
There's dice in Camel.
Wow. Have you heard of Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, Pepper? There weren't any cards in Terraforming Mars before.
The card game.
There weren't any. Not once.
Oh boy. Okay, I'll go with this one next. My 16, I guess it is. And that is a game, a third in the series of games that I have not played any of the other two. The second one is on Board Game Arena, and I've wanted to play it for a long time, but never got around to it. This third one, saw the cover. Beautiful, one of my favorite covers. Trekking Through History. Just another very approachable game. This is a good family weight game, and it's kind of pretty much trying to get cards and try to create a set of cards that go in ascending order of dates. You are trekking through history thematically. You're going back in time and visiting all these different events in history, and on that single trek you're trying to hit as many events as possible in ascending order of dates, and then you'll get set collection points based on how big each of your treks are at the end of the game. But You're also kind of filling out an itinerary, I think they're called, of tokens that you're also getting from the card. So you not only get a card to slot into your trek, but that card also gives you different colored tokens that you fill out another board to fill out rows and columns and get other victory points, which it's just getting numbers and putting tokens for points. But I really love the artwork in this game.
It's a great production.
The tokens for the resources are awesome. The wild tokens aren't that great for being the wild ones. You'd think they'd be super special. They have the least detail of any of them, so that's one nitpick, but great gems in it, great artwork on every single piece. Every card has, like I said, an event in history. You can flip it to the other side and read a little text and background on that, and just did not disappoint. I was looking for an amazing, not filler game, because there's a good bit to it, but one that most can play.
Yeah, I would agree. I got to play this one once at Gen Con. Zach and Carson got it, and it was really pretty good. But yeah, that one, for some reason, I do not remember it that much well, but I do remember enjoying it. And I was actually, I thought, couldn't remember how many times you'd played it, but I thought this one might be in your top 10.
Oh, okay.
My next one, my number 15, speaking of Gen Con, this one was one I got at Gen Con. I got it as a gift, actually, for my birthday, kind of an early birthday gift.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, this one is Urubamba Valley. And this was one I wasn't really 100% sure, because I think it's got English text, but it's kind of all in, I can't remember what we decided, which language it was in.
I forget.
But,
Urubamban.
yeah, it's this one right here. So I think it's got it in English, and then it might be Chinese. I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, so I wasn't sure. Sometimes the translation might make it a little bit difficult. And looking at it, it looked very interesting, having the different layers. And then kind of making bigger groups. I wasn't sure how that was actually going to play out. It was going to be something you'd want to help other people with. But then as we played it, I was like, wow, there's actually a really solid game here with some really nice choices. And yeah, it's kind of one of what I would call maybe the hidden gems from there that I don't know that I've heard anyone really talk about. And yeah, it's a really fun game. You start having people maybe try to cut other people off if they don't produce the different types of. So there's like different types of crops. Each player starts with one different one, and then you can kind of gain the technologies of being able to plant that crop. So some people are not going to be able to do those crops. They're going to try to cut that off because they don't. As the crop field of that crop gets larger and larger, it kind of scores them more and more points or coins technically. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, I think. I don't know if this one's on your list at all, or what you thought
I
of it.
was checking, and I don't think I had it as entered into my app. This one definitely would have been in consideration for my top 20. I think it could have snuck in. But yeah, I did not. I was like, I don't remember ever seeing this, and I kind of scrolled through maybe the top 40 for the ones that would be in consideration. I'm like, I don't remember seeing this, and this would definitely be in my top 40 of the year for sure. So this one could have definitely made my top 20. But yeah, I'm glad you did remember it and remember to put it on the list because it is a really great one. Like you said, probably one of the hidden gems for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, this was another one at the point in time. I was thinking this one might even make my top 10, but just didn't quite make it.
My 15, would this be? Yes. I'll shift this up a little bit. My 15 is probably the smallest game on my list, and that is so much that it goes in our small games drawer. That is Archaeology, the New Expedition, I believe it is called. This is from Phil Walker Harding. It's a very simple card game, which you're creating sets kind of in a way similar to Bonanza. It's kind of what I compare it to with games we played, where you have different, you're archaeologists going around finding artifacts, and you get different cards, which they have on them kind of a value that they have, a trading value, which I like in this game. You have a market, and it's as free of trading as you can possibly have in a game. So this is 3 value. You could go and get a 2 and a 1. You could go get 3 1s, whatever you want. You can trade and then trade back, trade again. Very freeing. Just do whatever you want. Love that. And then pretty much on the bottom of the card, they say if you sell 2 of these, you get 10 points. 3 of them, you get 20 points. Just the scoring conditions there. Very simple game, and it just works really well. It's so smooth. Phil Walker Harding just knows how to make filler games. Filler Walker Harding, as we call him, as he is known worldwide as.
Yes.
Just great production as well, and even the different places that you're going to search for them, which is special temple cards that you can go into and get bonus cards. That's different. They have like 7 different ones, and each of them play a little different, which I like that you have those options.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I think we only played that like once, or you only played that once or twice with me, and yeah, it's been a little bit, but I remember that one being pretty fun.
Yep.
So, my number 14 has already been mentioned on this list, and that is Gods Love Dinos. I really enjoy it for the same reasons you said. It's just a really fun way to do an ecosystem, and I just have a lot of fun with it. And I haven't played like Dominant Species, but I think that one's like more of a cutthroat type thing. Whereas this one, you could technically be trying to like set off something on someone else's board to make it maybe a little bit more cutthroat. But I feel like the way we play, we kind of think similarly, where we're more focused on our own thing than really what our opponent's doing. And yeah, I just really love the management of that ecosystem of trying to make sure if you have the high population of the small animals to be able to feed some of your carnivores that are eating them, and then being able to feed the dinos so that you kind of cut everything back down to a small size, but small but still present size, so that you can grow it back up again for them to eat again. It's just a really fun management system. Had a ton of fun with it.
Yeah. Totally agree. And my next one, 14, will be a game which, similar to Clank, I didn't know. I just wanted to feature more new games in my top 10, so this one dropped out, but we've played this a lot. This is a cooperative version of a game that we have so much content from. It's pretty much everything that's behind me. These cubes are filled with Unmatched, and that is Unmatched Tales to Amaze, the standalone cooperative version of Unmatched, which you can take all the characters that you already own in Unmatched and throw them in there. Maybe they'll work some better than others, but we've had a lot of fun with this and battling the Mothman, battling the Martian invaders, battling all the different sidekicks that they have. I love that they have all those, and they all really do feel different. Like the Loveland Frog is going to hit you a lot, but he's not going to hit you for much. So if you got Luke Cage against him, Luke Cage can tank like a boss. And if he's just next to him, it's like, whatever, hit me. I'm not going to defend Loveland Frog.
Exactly.
And then the devil is just, he's a devil.
He for sure is the devil. He's probably the biggest foe we've had in the whole game.
He really is
the worst.
He really is the worst. And then it just introduces, like, Unmatched is so fun to think, which 2 characters could we match up? What's an interesting matchup? What thematically makes sense to match this character against this character? And now you have that, but in a whole different way. Which characters can we team together? A team of doctors. A team of the 2 people with skulls. The Golden Bat and Ghost Rider.
Exactly.
Just all the different team-ups that you can think of. It just opened the door to so many new... It just multiplied everything that you already owned, and I love it.
100%. I agree 100%. Great choice. My number 13, we're staying cooperative here, although now it's only up to, I guess we've mainly only played that 2-player. That one can go up more. Well, I guess the other sets can go up more technically, but we typically play a 2-player.
A BGA game?
This is a BGA game again that we've only played on BGA. This was one at Gen Con that I really wanted to get. But their line, we raced into the door, me and Michaela, for this game, and she got into the line, but she was about like 250th, and they had like 150 copies of something.
That may be a lot of people. Like 100 people would be like, nah, never mind.
And this is Sky Team, and after playing it, I'm like, shoot. That was worth the wait in the line, probably. Just because I've enjoyed our play. It was me and you playing it online, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. There's no communication, which thematically probably doesn't make any sense. But
Your co-pilots and your headset goes out, so of course
You
sitting
can't
next to each
communicate.
other and you can't talk.
you just can't. But yeah, then you're rolling these dice to kind of keep the plane level, trying
Yep.
to and bringing up or putting down the um, landing
Landing gear,
gears
bringing
and
down the speed.
speed and taking out planes in front of you so that you don't run into them. Yeah, you're just trying to put these dice in order to kind of activate these things with very minimal communication outside of right before you're rolling them. You can kind of say, we kind of want to focus on this, but outside of that, not really any communication. And yeah, I just really, really loved everything about our plays of it.
Yeah, that one, like, it just perfectly balances, like, okay, this is your separate stuff, this is your separate stuff, and this is the stuff that it doesn't matter which each of you play, and you have to balance that between both of your dice. It does that so well, and this is one that I was very excited for, and just in that first play, it's like, yep, this nailed it.
That's awesome.
And my number 13 is another BGA game, the Year of BGA, and this is maybe another reason that Earth fell a little bit was there was another game. So it was Terraforming Mars, and that was killed by Ark Nova, and Ark Nova was killed by Earth, and now Earth seems to have been topped by another game that we played there twice, I believe. That is, if I didn't have it written down, I wouldn't have remembered the name. Forest Shuffle.
Oh yeah.
This one is it's been a while since we played it, but it feels very similar to Earth. You're playing a bunch of different cards that are different animals and different plants and a bunch of different scoring conditions, but the points you get are just so massive amounts of points. The increase, it didn't feel like we played all that much better
No.
in our second game,
No.
but we increased by multiple hundreds of points from our first to our second game, and that was just crazy. And just seeing the score multiply as you go, there's probably some combinations that I'm going to want to do every time. I forget exactly, was it frogs or something that you can kind of stack again and again and score
Yeah, it
for.
was
I think it was
something.
frogs. Might have been something else, but I really enjoyed those. And then I kind of scored for my antlered creatures as well, and just a bunch of different
Craziness.
ways to go if you've played kind of Terraforming Mars or Earth. Just kind of that similar card feel in building out your tableau. Just really enjoy this one. High scoring, great artwork as well.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I don't know, that one just didn't end up making my list, but no, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing that one quite a bit. Lots of points. You were right. My next one probably has the most crazy title of any game, and that is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. This is kind of a flippin' place type game, very much like a verb and verb game. And yeah, in this one, it kind of reminds me a little bit of a kingdom builder where you have like different terrain types that you're going on, but everyone's doing the same thing. So you just kind of work out from a center spot and actually go out and explore these other regions in order to score or get like sunken treasure chests or shipwreck things and all these other ways of scoring. And then throughout the game, you'll each individually be getting kind of some special cards that kind of give you some really powerful things that just will make yours feel cool. And I don't know, haven't played it a ton, but the few times I've played it, I don't think anyone's complained like, oh, this card sucks or something. So I think they're all kind of built to be pretty fun, pretty
for
good.
those cards. When I did get the treasure cards, I got a multiplier for. I got like 3 treasure cards, and they were all the same, and they were like one of the things that I was not going for at all at that
That's
point.
fair.
So I'm like, oh, that's good. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that part was probably
But
not
yeah,
equal,
those
but
custom cards,
custom
those action cards
and when
are
you get
amazing.
to use them again and again,
Yeah.
kind of giving people asymmetric feels.
Yeah.
It just works really perfectly, and it's not like it doesn't force you to like teach the game differently to different people.
Yeah,
where sometimes
that's true.
asymmetry can cause a little bit of that because you might have a special player power. It's kind of that, but not really that at the same time. So I really love that.
Great pick. Okay, what do we got here? Number 12 is another verb and verb game, and this is a roll and write game, and this is probably maybe the biggest roll and write game that I enjoy, and that is Twilight Inscription. So a crossover with you on this list. This one does feel like it should sneak into my top 10 because it just came along and it's like, okay, this is either going to be really good or just totally not what we're looking for at all. But I thankfully have really, really enjoyed this one. It's a great production. The orange markers, the whole thing is just looks really good. Like space can sometimes get a little dark and not very interesting looking, but just the colors really pop on this one. The iconography is mostly really good, I think, and just I probably do prioritize 3 of the 4 boards. I don't really explore that much, and some others do, and they do have their strengths, but I don't find that one as interesting as the other 3, but the other 3 I really, really, really love and are so satisfying. So many different flip sides of the maps to explore, which change it up. Not like it's a totally different game, but just have a different layout. I think it's really cool, and big, chunky dice.
Yes. Good choice. Good choice. From the beginning, after the first play, I really enjoyed this one. Then my last one, which I don't believe will be a crossover with you, but you never know. But I'm pretty confident. And this one is Gutenberg. And something about it that I just really like, the simplicity of it. It just feels like it flows really well. It makes me think of how I first thought of like Dinosaur Island, where it's just like you do this and then this
the order.
and then this. It just is very clear on the board, like what will be determined first in what order. So it's like I'll be doing that first and then that. And I think it's just really clean that way, and that's what keeps the game kind of flowing at a very good pace. And you're kind of simultaneously bidding on these actions for turn order, which I find really fun. And I've played it twice, once at 4 players, once at 2, and I thought it was still interesting at 2. Wasn't as meaningful with the bidding, but there were some times where it did matter. But in a 4-player game, I felt like it mattered a good amount more, especially if you really wanted something. And I think it was just fun to kind of determine how much do I dedicate to that action? How much do I want to take that action? Because you don't have to bid anything on an action, then you just don't take the action, which is fine, and you can get away with it, and I think we probably did that quite a bit. And then there's kind of, the cubes are shifting as to who has the most of them, kind of based on who's the start player, and then they kind of would break any ties at that point. So I like how that flowed. I think it's another one of my favorite bidding type things in a game, and it goes so smooth, and the production is pretty solid as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the bidding in that one and the whole game was really nice. It didn't make my top 20, but I like the bidding that you aren't like losing your coins or something. Like some you bid and maybe you lose and you're just out of it, but this one it's determined every round. It's not like you're now at a deficit for having a bad round. You're just going to get those cubes back the next time, maybe one more, one less. But really enjoyed that. My number 11, I don't need to look at it. This is a 3-way crossover, which kind of spoils your and Michaela's top 10, a game that may appear in there. And this is the giveaway game that we are having alongside.
I was actually going to say when we filmed the top 10, we may have filmed that first. I was going to say I was expecting this one, and I was waiting and waiting for it. And I'm like, oh boy. This is gonna be high. Holy smoke! I didn't think it was this high on his list. And then it didn't make it. I'm like,
as you guys,
did he forget about it? And then we're going on this list. I'm like, it might not even be in his top 20.
You were talking about it. I'm like, probably should have snuck into my top 10 because I do really, really love it. It is one of the best filler games. I had to talk about it during this one.
That's true.
I had to get it on both lists.
That's why you did it.
So I put it as high as I possibly could on here. But this is just amazing. I'm surprised it's not made by Filler Walker Harding because it's one of the best filler games that you could ever have. It's so approachable, so quick and snappy. You could teach and play it in 30 minutes, I think.
Pepper guarantee.
Pepper guarantee. What does it say? 45 minutes? That's a lie. It is less than 45 minutes. If you know the game, it's going to go less than 45 minutes.
Yeah, if you know it.
We have massive analysis paralysis.
Yes.
At times.
But it's so snappy quick.
It really is, and it's satisfying every time you do score points. Usually It can be so rewarding if you can stack multiple onto a high scoring spot on the board.
Or even if you just chain a bunch
Or if
together.
you just chain a bunch, you're like, oh, I have these 4 colors. There's a chain of those 4 colors on
Boom,
the
boom,
board
boom,
right
boom.
there. Boom, boom, boom. Place your buildings out there. Score a bunch of points. It's just so satisfying. So simple. So great. Reiner Knizia does it again.
Yes, that is a great one to end on. And yeah, let us know in the comments below if you haven't commented on the other video already, what your favorite games of 2023 were, or if you had any. If you already have your top 10 list and you're like, but these barely missed out, let us know what those are as well. New to you, it doesn't have to be 2023 alone. This one is it happens to be 2023, but yeah. I think we've got some good lists here. A lot of good. We have a decent amount of crossover, but it was a good year. Good year, but board game arena year.
Yes.
We'll see maybe more of that in the future. But yeah. Otherwise, check out our other videos on this or just in general. And I think we probably have some first imps on a lot of these games that we talked about, so you can go check those out as well. Otherwise, we hope to see you on those videos. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling
on our content.